Hello, and welcome to the Talking Apron podcast. I'm your host, Ann Bernardin, a type 1 diabetic and former nutrition and wellness teacher that included home economics, cooking, etc. Here in this podcast, we discuss all things diabetes, cooking, nutrition, etc. The purpose of today's specific podcast is about 5 different lifestyle habits that will give great long-term diabetes success. Now, they can also include those without diabetes that don't want to get diabetes. And why these lifestyle habits are important is because diabetes isn't just about taking insulin or taking a pill. It's about having a well-balanced life. And the 5 lifestyle topics, the key ones, are, yes, it does include food, a nutritional, balanced look at food. We'll be discussing that. The second one is about activity. Now, notice I'm not saying exercise. It's about physical activity. The third is our stress management. The fourth is our sleep. And then the 5th is that self-monitoring, seeing where we are, whether it's continually checking our blood sugar by finger strip or by continuous glucose monitor. And also in that self-management is the importance of maintaining the relationship with your physician and keeping an eye on how things are going. So those are the 5 topics of today. I'm very excited about it. Just a really good overview. Oh, and one of the things I forgot to say is this is National Diabetes Awareness Month. It is November. So I'm going to be relating to all things diabetes. Well, I usually do anyway, but I really want to highlight the importance of how making personal changes long-term really affects our health, our well-being, our relationships with our family, our longevity, our finances, how much money we have to spend on our health care, etc. So if you don't have a cuppa, go ahead and go grab it, no matter what time of day, no judging here. Whether it's beer, wine, tea, coffee, infusion, I don't care. Just go ahead and go grab your cuppa. So we're going to start off with nutrition. Now, I'm not going to go into all the fine details of macro and micronutrients because I already have done an extensive podcast on that. I think it was within the first 20 episodes. But for blood sugar control, and I will say for health, to stay healthy, our body needs a mix of nutrients. There are macronutrients, which is protein, fat, and carbohydrates. And there are micronutrients. And the micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. And now they're considering water in there, okay, as a micronutrient. Now, our body needs all that because our cells only live a certain amount of time and they replenish and renew. And we need the correct balance so our body works in harmony with itself. And because of the SAD, Standard American Diet, our bodies have gotten all out of whack. So we're trying to return it to a balanced sense of good, equal foods. So when you're looking at your diet, a plate that really works is one, a 9-inch plate. Measure your plates. Don't go for that 11-inch. Go for a smaller plate. That's what we were eating off of in the 50s and 60s. And then the plates started getting bigger. And we did too. So go to a smaller plate. That's one. The second is half the plate should be vegetables. A quarter of the plate should be protein, and a quarter should be your carbohydrates. Now, yes, there are carbohydrates in the vegetables, and what we're talking vegetables really are the leafy greens, the broccoli, the low glycemic, the not a lot of starch. And when we talk about the quarter of your plate for your carbohydrates or your beans, potatoes, pasta, rice, that should be a quarter of your plate. That's a good starting point until you know your body. This next segment, this is about physical activity. Now, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see I'm raising my hands, I'm wiggling, I'm jumping all around. That's physical activity. I'm mopping my floor. I'm on my hands and knees to reach for something in the bottom cabinet. I'm using clippers to cut my grass. I spilled something, so I bend over or I get on my knees. As we age, the flexibility in our joint starts leaving us because we're not active enough. Now, part of this activity, why do we do it? Because it improves our insulin sensitivity and how our body manages the blood sugar. So we have to move. And I don't mean move from lying down to standing up to getting in our car to working, sitting at a desk, making runs to the restroom, to getting in the car, to getting home, to standing, making dinner, and then sitting in the recliner all night. That's vertical sitting, and horizontal in bed. Not enough. We need multiple movements. So different types of exercises that I recommend, activity that I'm going to recommend is keep your house cleaner. And what do I mean by that? I mean, if you're in your kitchen and you haven't moved all day and you've had a tough day, maybe you were at a convention or at a conference or you were just over the computer all day, wash your upper cabinets, take your arm, put a rag in it, and wipe top cabinet all the way down and around. Use your left hand. Wash the other cabinet. That will give flexibility and mobility in your shoulders. Wipe down your shower. Get on your hands and knees and wipe your bathroom floor at least once a week. And I'm not talking about having a housekeeper. Housekeepers are great when we're busy. I'm talking about the quick pick up the hair. I don't care what it is, but you need to be on your hands and knees. You have grandchildren? Great. You've got a puppy dog? Sit on the floor and play with them. Get the rest of your body moving. Now, if we want exercise, and we do, I'm not saying don't exercise. I'm saying include movement in your day every day. But good exercise, the first thing you want to do is the resistance training. Twice a week, at least 30 minutes, lifting weights or resisting, whether it's your body weight or added weights. And I'm talking up and down. I'm not talking about putting on a weighted belt and going for a walk. Not enough. You need to activate those thigh muscles, the gluteus maximus, your butt, and as I said, lifting your arms up and down. But that resistance training or weight training, twice a week, at least 30 minutes. Then you'll have your aerobic, which is great for your heart. And that's on a treadmill, on a bicycle. Then part of your consistent work is the walking. Walking stabilizes your blood sugar and insulin sensitivity. Now, we weren't born as apes, as monkeys, who have short legs, long torso, long arms, because they do a type of crawl. We were born vertical. Our bodies were made to walk, to be upright. That's why there are so many of these standing desks. I'm standing at one right now because it keeps me vertical and I hold in my tummy and I activate that core, which will prevent long-term issues or problems that come when you fall, when you start losing your balance. So it keeps core strength staying vertical. So back to walking. If you have a Fitbit, an Apple Watch, all the other things that are out there, set a target for yourself. So 4 years ago, we all had a bum year, and it was really difficult, well, to be isolated and to stay fit. Year later, I decided to get a dog. I didn't do it during 2020. I got it after because I noticed I was kind of depressed. And my little pup has helped me stay consistent. First, I started with 5,000 steps. Then I went to 6. Now I have a minimum of 8,000 steps a day. Most days, I would say 5 of the 7, I get closer to 10. Weekends sometimes is 12 because I'm either working in the yard, meeting with my grandchildren, going to the soccer field, whatever it is. It's a little more. But set your target. Don't get up and say, okay, I'm going to walk 10,000 steps, and you haven't appropriated the time it takes to do that and how you're going to manage that. So I now have a new routine of how I can fit in the 10,000 steps. I need at least 3 walks of 15 minutes or one at 45. And that gives me a good baseline, and then the rest of my life activity fills in the blank. So how to get it fit in is to start each week differently. So maybe one week you're just adding that 10-minute walk. Now, another way, you could add in I'll call it park the furthest place in Walmart and walk all the way to the front. You'll notice how quick your steps come in. Park the furthest amount away that you can. So that's 1 week where you're adding more steps. The second week, you're going to be looking at, how do I get up from my chair? What do I do with my arms? Do I reach above? Am I just bending over like a hinge at the waist, or am I getting down to activate my thighs to look under the cupboard? All while being safe, of course. So you want to add in these little steps before you then say, I'm going to get a gym membership, and now I'm going to spend 5 hours a week driving there, disrobing, changing, getting in. It takes time. So start with the small stuff first to integrate those in. And then you'll be able to start having success, feel good about it, gain some confidence, then add in, where am I going to be doing my strength training, and how can I get in my aerobic? Now, at this point, I want to talk about something that's important. I skipped over it, should have talked about it when we were talking nutrition, but I have a guide called Doctor's Orders, Why Cutting Sweets Isn't Just About the Sugar. And it goes into, if you are somebody that doesn't truly understand sugar, what's a carbohydrate, how vegetables and starches fit in, what is the glycemic index, this guide would be something that would be really good for you to give you some base understanding so you can make better choices in managing what you eat. When you subscribe or put your email address in, yes, you are on my mailing list. I send an email once a week. It'll give the latest link to the latest podcast and some generic information. That's it. I don't send you ads for courses. I don't ask you for money. No. It's strictly just to keep you informed of the latest podcast, etc. But you will get that free guide, Doctor's Orders. Find the link in the intro to the YouTube video or in the podcast video, wherever you find the Talking Apron. Now, this next section is about the connection between stress, cortisol, and your blood sugar spikes. Well, what is that? So when we are stressed, now, right now I'm stressed. What? Because I'm doing this podcast. Because I'm putting my energy into it. I'm standing. I wrote it. I looked at it. I'm doing things. So I have minor stress. Is it a big stress? No, there's no saber-toothed tiger coming at me. But this is a little stress I have during the week because I want to do my best. So when you have stress, your cortisol, which is a hormone, raises and gets you ready for that fight or flight. Now, our American population, our stress levels are high. Right now, I'm going to say stress is very high because it's election day. I don't care if you're blue or red. I really don't care. I just care if you want to live a healthier life, you have diabetes, you're worried about diabetes, etc. But on election day, it's stressful. We have our candidates, we want something. We've been in high stress. When we are, that cortisol will keep a handy amount of sugar in our glucose in our bloodstream, so we are ready to run. We have elevated blood sugar readings because of the stress, and we'll have spikes. Now, I know speaking in front of a crowd may be stressful for some of you. For me, it's not. I don't get those blood sugar spikes. And because I'm a type 1 diabetic and I'm showing my CGM on the video, I have direct feedback on when I have blood sugar spikes. But you know what does spike me? When I have arguments with immediate family members, when my blood boils. 50, 60 points raising just because I'm angry or upset. That's what stress does to us. So we really have to monitor that. And there are a lot of effective stress management techniques. I know some of you may not have heard of the mindfulness, but meditation, yes. People do hobbies because it involves the coloring books that are out. I used to love to work in my yard, weed, carry the wheelbarrow. That wasn't stressful to me because my kids were still in the house with their dad, and I had private time because nobody wanted to be out with the bugs and the heat unless I specifically asked for help. So I found a way to reduce my stress, to get more exercise by being outside. That's one way I did it. Yoga is another way. Washing dishes can be a mindless chore. The TV. Now, notice I haven't said alcohol. Alcohol is not a good way to relieve stress. Yeah, it gives you that laid back feeling. Or I'll say smoking dope, using medicinal herbs, whatever else you want to put in there. Those aren't good ways. Those may be emergency ways, but alcohol specifically does a number on your sleep cycle because it's a carbohydrate, and the way that the alcohol actually gets, I'll call it digested and absorbed, it'll have you wake up at 2, 3, 4 in the morning, and there'll be a blood sugar spike. So try these other methods for your stress management. The other thing about stress is making sure you have somebody to talk to. If you're pissed at your boss, is there somebody in-house or a friend that you can come home to and just say, this is what this knucklehead did today? I'm very familiar with having a stressful, toxic work environment. It wasn't fun. My standard blood pressure rose 30 points. My blood sugar was consistently higher. It was unhealthy. And that's one of the reasons I'm doing what I'm doing now, is because I want to be in control of my health and reduce that stress. So one easy tip I can give you is to practice deep breathing for at least 5 minutes a day. Now, you know you can drive. It is a little stressful if you're in traffic. But just taking a couple deep breaths, and deep meaning it's releasing the toxins from your body, giving you lots of oxygen that feeds your brain, and you relax. So try that for 5 minutes a day. One of the other tips, 5 essential lifestyle changes, is about sleep. I have had a time in my life where I thought it was so exciting to be awake. I hated sleeping. I loved all my projects and how much I could do and get done and watch TV. And if I didn't get it all, then after work, I was home with the kids, and then I was getting the next meal ready the next day, and then I wanted to sit down and read and watch my TV, and then it was midnight, and I'd get up at 5:30. And the damage that did over time is being seen now. Because when we don't rest, our body doesn't get to repair. And between other autoimmune diseases, I'm now making sure that I let my body repair. Do I still have problems going to bed? Well, yeah, I do. I get to bed at a certain time every day. I like to, I'll call it be in my pajamas, 8:30. So I'm lights out by 9:30, up between 5:30 and 6:30. And that's plenty of time. That's like 9 hours. But of those 9 hours, I may only get 6 good hours of sleep. And that's part because of sometimes I have a beeping monitor or a noise in the street that wakes me up, something like that. But sleep is so important because it does impact our insulin sensitivity as well. Insulin sensitivity, if you don't know what that means, a quick overview is that when your body sees insulin, it does exactly what it's supposed to do. It docks onto the insulin receptor, and the excess glucose is allowed to go into the cell, and you are rejuvenated and starting to heal. So here are some things to do for better sleep. That consistent schedule. Don't vacillate between, oh, I'm really tired, I'm going to bed at 8, to, oh, my favorite show's on at 10, or I've got to make a phone call at 11 to someone on the West Coast, East Coast, in Europe, and you do that 2 or 3 times a week. No. Once in a while, but not every week. Stay consistent with your sleep schedule. Now, if you need to get back into the groove, the most important time is your wake time. Because over 2, 3, 4 a week, getting up at 5, 6, 7, the same time every day will start regulating the I'm tired at a certain time at night, and then you'll go to bed at a regular, your body will naturally tell you, oh, I'm getting kind of tired. And then you'll have a regular schedule in the evening. The next I'm struggling with, I got to tell you, it's reducing screen time. And they're talking phone, computer, TV. That's really hard in today's environment. So how I do it is I stop getting on my computer after supper, check email, it shuts down. I'll check my phone while I'm watching a TV show, then I'll not look at my phone about 2 hours before bed, and I'll just watch a show. Now, I'm also particular about my shows. I do the mindless stuff, the last one before I go to bed. What do I mean by that? I don't do the real interesting, have me think about it, blow up buildings, horror, detective. That'll get my mind going. I do the, is it a reality show that I can miss a couple minutes and come back to it? You know, between cooking shows, action adventure reality shows, Love Island, The Bachelor, yeah, okay, I'm female. Those are mindless stuff. Those I don't care about the results. Those are the last shows. So start monitoring what type of, when you get to bed, are you still thinking about the whodunit? Or like, are you shutting off, like, I don't care if they're in a relationship or not. It's entertainment. I go to bed and I'm not dreaming about, oh, does he ask her? No. I'm going to bed saying I'm tired. So look at your shows. If over time you are still having a really hard time sleeping, you may need to have a sleep disorder test. Do you have sleep apnea? If you live alone, are you snoring and you're waking up? You've got to check that. In a future podcast, I will also talk about what to do when you wake up in the middle of the night. The last segment that we're going to be talking about is what I'll call self-accountability. And what that is you are a science experiment. You are looking at your numbers, whether it be getting on the scale, tracking your steps, knowing your blood sugar, knowing the numbers of how many carbohydrates am I eating. Now, over time, I know a quarter cup of most nuts is 6 grams of carbs. I know what it looks like. I'm 15 years in, I can put it in my hand and I can see. That's 6 grams of carbs. Sometimes I'm over, rarely am I under because I really like nuts. And I can tell. So I don't have to keep measuring. But until you do, the foods you eat frequently, you want to know, how much am I having? I know I can't eat a whole sweet potato. It spikes me too fast. It's not that I can't eat it. It's how fast, and I don't want to have damage. So I know I can eat a quarter of a sweet potato. That's it. I know that. So having self-care, self-accountability will allow you to know you're making progress and give that responsibility straight back where it belongs, to you. Because I'm sorry, but we're in this pickle because of some lifestyle changes that we did. Now, I'm autoimmune with type 1, but I still think sometimes if I'd lived a little bit healthier life, I wonder if my body would have malfunctioned. Not to blame myself, and I'm not blaming any other type 1s out there, but it's just a question mark. I wonder if that could have been something. So self-monitoring our glucose levels and understanding the results over time will help us consistently making better choices. Now, if you have to start with tracking it and having a log or a calendar, do it. Do it, because you won't have to do that long term at all. One of the things, whoops, I don't know where my phone is. It's over there. We all have phones, and our phones have alerts. You can set an alarm for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and it'll go off. And reminder, take my vitamins, take my medication, test my blood sugar. You can have a reminder for that. We don't have to stick it all in our head. We can have a reminder. Make it a routine thing. So, what did we talk about today? Here's a quick summary. It's about the nutrition and what we put in our body. It's about having a balanced, whole food approach. It's about getting regular physical movement of our body, activity, and exercise. It's about managing our stress, whether it be work, family, doesn't matter. Find techniques to help with stress. It's about improving our sleep so we rejuvenate, so our body heals itself. And it's about self-accountability and monitoring. That includes going to the doctor regularly. So, this is Ann with the Talking Apron. Remember, add these steps in gradually for long-term success. Listen to some of the other podcasts I have that may be intriguing to you, give you more information on nutrition. Subscribe, listen to the next podcast, reach out to me at Ann at the Talking Apron if you have more questions, or download and register for my emails, and you'll get that free guide, Doctor's Orders. Thanks so much. Stay healthy, and until next time, have a terrific week.